Good morning, class. Today we'll discuss about the kingdom Protista. In the previous classes, we have studied various types of kingdom that were the lower kingdoms that we have studied. Now, as we are proceeding further, we are going towards higher or complex kingdoms. So, we discussed models that included the bacteria that were basically of three types: the Archibacteria, the Archaea, as well as the Eubacteria. So Eubacteria were the ones that were the actual or the true bacteria. Now, what were Archibacteria? They were the ones that were found in the extreme habitats that were the very much hotter conditions or very much cold conditions. So now we discuss the kingdom Protista. What comes under this? First, let's discuss the features of this kingdom. So, kingdom Protista includes all single-cell eukaryotes, but the boundaries of uh, this kingdom are not very much well defined. That means that it includes all those eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are those that have a true nucleus, a nucleus that is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. So, all those single-cell eukaryotes are being considered to be present in this, but the boundary is not well defined. That means uh, that the protesta is still under consideration, that it is including all those members that are sufficient or that are sharing the common features of the kingdom protesta or not. So it is a arguable kingdom. It was the kingdom that was first proposed by Ernest Haeckel in the year 1866. Physiologically, kingdom protista act as a connecting link between the kingdom Monra and the complex multicellular kingdom fungi. So, before protista comes the kingdom Monra, and after protista, the complex system fungi comes. So, kingdom protista is said to be the connecting link between the Mondrans as well as the fungi. Kingdom protista includes the following categories that I'll discuss further. What are those? That are dinoflagellates, chrysophiles, euglenoids, slime molds, as well as the protozoans. Before discussing them, let's discuss basic features of the kingdom protista. These are mostly aquatic organisms. Some protists also live in the bodies of animals as parasites. So these are mainly found in the aquatic or water habitat. The cells are eukaryotic, and these contain membrane-bound cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, as well as 80S ribosomes. So, 80S ribosomes, when present, means these are of higher category because the lower organisms possess 70S ribosomes. S refers to the Sevidbeck constant. Then, locomotion in this may be either by pseudopodia, and the organisms they perform pseudopodial movement are amoeba and cilia. The ciliary movement is done by the paramecium. So both these comes under the kingdom protista. Some show wriggling movement, like those do not have any flagellates. So these are the sporozoans, and some show mucilage propulsions. So some protists like those diatoms, they show the movement in the form of mucilage propulsion. So they do not have neither pseudopodias nor any cilia. So the diatoms that do not have any organelles for locomotion. So diatoms are considered to be special as they have no locomotory organs, but still they are able to move by the process of mucilage propulsion. Protists show various modes of nutrition such as photosynthetic. Dinoflagellates, diatoms, and euglenoids that come under this category shows the photosynthetic mode of nutrition. Then the holozoic, that is the zootrophic. Protozoans like paramecium and amoeba shows this type of holozoic nutrition. What is holozoic? The ingesting of solid food particles rather than liquid food particles. The saprobic or the saprophytic, it is done by the slime molds that are also present in the kingdom protista. Parasitic is done by trypanosoma, plasmodium, and entamoeba. Entamoeba histolytica is causing many serious illness in human beings also. Some protists like Euglena, mixotrophic mode of nutrition is found. Mixotrophic means having many types of nutritive or many types of nutrition present in the Euglena. Now the symbiotic in zoo flagellates like Trichonymphia as well as Lophomonas. So they show the symbiotic. Symbiotic means they are dependent upon one another for their survival. The pinocytosis is shown by amoeba, that is, they absorb soluble organic substances. Pinocytosis is referred to the absorption of liquid, and phagocytosis is referred to as absorption of solid. The protists reproduce asexually and sexually by a process involving cell fusion and zygote formation. So the major groups of protists are protestant algae, that are photosynthetic protists, then the slime molds, that are consumer or decomposer protists, and the protozoan protists. First we'll discuss those that are photosynthetic protists. These chrysophytes form these are the chrysophytes. So first we'll see the classification. The chrysophytes are the photosynthetic protists, that is, they make their own food. The chrysophytes. The chrysophytes form the main part of phytoskeleton or the phytoplankton. What are phytoplanktons? Phyto means plants, and planktons are uh, those that are found in the aquatic habitats. So these include chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, as well as the euglenoids. The chrysophytes includes diatoms or golden algae. Golden algae are also called as desmids. The diatoms occur in all aquatic and moist terrestrial habitats and also known as chief producer in the ocean. So diatoms are present in the ocean and they are called as to be the chief producers because they are being eaten by most of the organism, and also they are able to produce their own food. They pile up at the bottom of water reservoirs and form big heaps called diatomaceous earth. So the presence of these can be seen very easily as they are mostly found in piled up condition one upon each other, and they provide a different colors to the ocean, and that's why it is called as the diatomaceous earth, because the presence of these can be seen very closely and very well with the naked eyes. They are microscopic unicellular organisms of different shapes such as circus, semicircles, triangulars, as well as spindle shape. So the shape varies in different types of diatoms. The body wall of the diatoms is made up of cellulose and it is impregnated with glass like silica. The outer shell is covered with silica and it is sculptured or having various shapes. The cell wall has two overlapping halves like a sap box called as shell. The shell or the opistil, it is basically for the purpose of protecting itself from other organisms and surviving. Then the diatoms are variously colored. So I told you the ocean color is basically related to the diatoms, as whatever color they possess, the ocean seems to be like that. They do not possess any flagella, but in reproductive state they have flagella, because in reproductive state they have to move from one place to the another, that is, the male goes to the female for the process of reproduction. Each male has a large each of the cell of the diatom have a very large central vacuole. Whatever organisms are found in the water, they have vacuole because so as to perform the process of osmoregulation, that is the maintenance of their body fluids. The chloroplasts are yellowish brown to greenish brown in color. They contain chlorophyll A as well as chlorophyll C. So there are basically three types of chlorophyll: A, B, C, D, and E. The diatoms possess A and C chlorophyll. They contain fucoxanthin and provides brownish tint. So because of the presence of fucoxanthin in the chloroplast, the diatoms are mostly brown in color. Food is reserved in the form of oils and leucosin, that is a polysaccharide. The atoms mostly reproduce asexually by the process of binary fission. Sexual reproduction varies from isogamy to oogamy. So the isogamy is when two gametes are of same size physiologically as well as morphologically. So in these, the both types of reproduction is present, that is the isogamy to the oogamy. The examples of this are Cimbella or Navicula. What are the economic importance of the diatoms? Diatoms are economically important in following ways. Diatoms are very important poly or they are called as the photosynthesizers. Photosynthesizers means they form the food for themselves as well as for other by the process of capturing light by the chloroplast present in them. So Diatomite deposits are often accompanied by petroleum fields. So whenever the diatoms are present in a large amount, they become in the form of deposits, and these deposits are used by the petroleum fields. These are used as a cleaning agent in toothpaste and metal polishes, and are used in filtration of oil and syrups. Because of the hard shell, they are used for mainly cleaning purposes. Diatoms are used as insulation material in refrigerators, boilers, and furnaces. They are also used to make soundproof rooms. Diatoms are also very good pollution indicators. Pollution indicators means if somewhere, if in an ocean the water is very much polluted, then they will not grow there. So that means that the pollution level is very high. Now comes the golden algae or the desmids. These are unicellular green alga. Their cell walls have distinct halves. Sexual reproduction occurs by the process of conjugation. So conjugation is that type of reproduction in which two different gametes are present. One is male and the other one is female. The male is the called the donor and female is the recipient. And between the male and the female, or the donor and the recipient, a cytoplasmic bridge is formed, and through this bridge the pronucleus is transferred from the male to the female, and this way the process of conjugation occurs. This is also a type of conjugation that occurs in bacteria. The golden algae are mostly found in fresh water and acts as an indicator of polluted water. So they are also acting as the indicators of polluted water. Now comes the dinoflagellates. What are dinoflagellates? So you can see the colors. So they are also having different colors. Now let's discuss their features. These are mainly marine and photosynthetic organisms. There are about 1000 species of photosynthetic protists. So these are also photosynthetic protists. The general features of these are very important phytoplanktons. Most of them are marine, but some also live in the freshwater. They appear yellow, green, brown, blue, or red depending on the main pigments present in their cells. So whatever the pigment is present, according to that, their color varies. The cell wall in dinoflagellates, if present, it is not very much compulsory that the cell wall is always present in the dinoflagellates, but if it is present, then it is composed of a number of plates made up of cellulose. Some dinoflagellates grow in large number in sea and make the water look red, and they form together red tide. You can see the red tide here when they are arranged in a very much large number, and when the pigment present is red in color, so they form a tide like structure. It is called as red tide. Toxins released by such large numbers may even kill other aquatic animals. So these usually releases some toxic substances, and these toxic substances are basically for the protection purpose, so that any predator could not feed on them. So if so much amount of dinoflagellates will be present, then the toxin amount will also be higher. That's why it will result in the death of many other aquatic animals. So the cells usually possess two flagella which are of different types. So whenever one organisms contain two flagella and they both are of different types, the condition is called as heterocont. One flagellum is transverse, arising from the anterior portion, and the other one is arising in the vertical furrow. So one is transverse and other one is arising from a furrow, that is from a cleavage, and it is vertical. So both these flagella beat in different directions. The nucleus is bigger in size, named as mesokaryon. Karyon word refers to as the nucleus. Chromosomes do not have histone and RNA. So we all know that human beings or the higher animals have DNA or RNA associated with some proteins. Those are the histone proteins. So, but in these, the dinoflagellates, the histone proteins are absent, and there is also no presence of RNA. So the cells possess an osmoregulatory organelle. The osmoregulatory organelle in the earlier studied was vacuole, but here it is called as pusule. So pusule is a specific organelle that is present in the dinoflagellates for the purpose of osmoregulation. It is superficially looking like a contractile vacuole only. Dinoflagellates reproduce asexually through cell division by the formation of zoospores and cysts, and various varieties of eye spots also occur in dinoflagellates, and some of them are called as ocelli. Ocelli is the smallest unit of an eye. So because they seem like an eye is present on them, that's why it is also called an ocelli. Reserve food is stored in the form of starch and oils. For example, in the peridium and gynodium, the reserve foods are always starch as well as oils. Now next come the euglenoids. What happens in euglenoids? You can see the structure of a euglenoid. These are unicellular flagellate protists. Flagella, this is the flagella. What is the basic difference between flagella and cilia? That flagella is usually of longer size, or length is very much uh, more than that of cilia. Cilia are smaller in size, as well as when cilia are present, they are more in number, and when flagella are present, these are mainly 2 to 3 in number. So here is the presence of flagella. The body of euglenoids is covered by thin and flexible pellicle. It lacks cellulosic cell wall. So in the previous, that was we studied the dinoflagellates. In that, the cell wall was made up of the cellulose, but here the cellulose is not present in the cell wall. Euglenoids have two flagella, usually one long and one shorter. They form creeping movements by expansion and contraction of their body. So the movement in them is the creeping movement by contraction and relaxation. Once the body contracts, it moves further and relaxes, then it stops. So euglenoids produced by longitudinal binary fission. The binary fission is of mainly three types actually. The simple binary, that is when no regular shape is there and the fission occurs from any side. One is transverse, from when the binary fission occurs transversely, as one is longitudinal, when the division occurs longitudinally. So in euglenoids, reproduction occurs in the longitudinal binary fission, and this occurs in under when the favorable conditions are present. The palmella stage is found during unfavorable conditions. So what is palmella stage? When euglenoid is not in its habitat, in its particular habitat which is suited for it, then the palmilla condition is there, and palmilla condition is dormant condition, and it does not perform any function till it achieves its normal or suitable state. So the euglena are also considered to be as the connecting link between the plant and animal, because it possesses both features of plants and animals. So the plant features in this are the presence of chloroplast and chlorophyll, and the nutrition is of halophytic type. The animal features are presence of pellicle, which is not made up of cellulose, and the contractile vacuole is present. Also the longitudinal binary fission. So these are the features of an animal. New euglena or euglenozoa. Euglenozoa means we are referring to as animal. So it is a diverse clade that includes predatory heterotrophs, photosynthetic autotrophs, and pathogenic parasites. The main feature that distinguishes protists in this clade is the presence of spiral or crystalline rods of unknown function inside the flagella. So flagella consists of some rods, and this makes the protist distinct, but the function of these rods is still not very much clear. Now the slime molds. What are slime molds? Slime molds are saprophytic protists. Anton de Berry related them to animals and called them as mystizoa. So there was a scientist called Anton de Berry. He called them as they were animals because they were placed in protists, but he was of opposite view, and he told that these should be placed in the Animalia group because these have some animal features. They are also named as the fungus animals because they share the common characters of both the animals and are known as protestant fungi. And due to their protestant nature, the general features of are slime molds are acellular and cellular types. About 600 species of slime molds are reported by biologists. So they are found in moist terrestrial places rich in decaying organic matter. Whenever the organic matter is decaying, the presence of slime mold will be observed there. The body of slime molds is covered with mucilage having gelatinous consistency. They do not have any chlorophyll. So they are surrounded by a plasma membrane, but the spores that are present have the cellulosic cell walls. They show phagotrophic or saprotrophic nutrition. Both types of nutrition is present according to the condition in which they are present. Both asexual and sexual modes of reproduction are also present in the slime molds. They are like protozoa in their amoeboid plasmodial stage and similar to true fungi in spore formation. So they are also said to be connecting link between fungi as well as protists. The plasmodium is the free-living thalloid body of the acellular slime molds. It is wall-less mass of multinucleate protoplasm covered by slime layer. So during the unfavorable condition, it forms the plasmodium differentiates and forms some fruiting bodies, and they bear some spores at their tips. So these are the spores in the plasmodium which is present at the tip. Slime molds are beneficial as they cause the decomposition of organic matter into the soil. So as they to perform the decomposition of soil or whatever the material is present in the soil, they are good for the plants, so that decomposition of the organic matter occurs and that organic matter is being easily absorbed by the plant. So slime molds perform this function. uh, then comes the protozoans. The protozoan protists include unicellular protists with animal-like features. So they were first studied by Leeuwenhoek. Protozoan protists may be aquatic, terrestrial, or parasites. They can cause several diseases in humans as well as animals. So the general characters of protozoans are they are microscopic, small, unicellular, and colorless organisms with different shapes. Locomotion occurs with the help of finger-like pseudopodia and flagella or hairy cilia. So basically, three types of locomotory organs are present in them, which help in the locomotion of these protozoans. All protozoans are heterotrophs and lives as predators or parasites. Respiration occurs through the general body surfaces. Reproduction occurs by binary fission, multiple fission, or budding. Sexual reproduction occurs by syngamy as well as conjugation. Syngamy is a fusion of male and female gamete, and conjugation I told you earlier. So these are of four major groups. The amoeboid protozoans, what happens in them? These organisms live in fresh water, seawater, or moist soil. They move and capture their prey by putting out pseudopodia. But in amoeba, the mouth is absent. That's why the pseudopodia are the false food that are formed by the amoeba so that they could capture food, and this process of capturing food is also called as phagocytosis because they are capturing solid food, and when liquid food is captured it is called pinocytosis. So the body is without periplast. It may be naked or have a calcareous shell. The flagella are present in some developmental stages. They also develop when food becomes scarce. So whenever the food is scarce or less in very much less in quantity, that's why they form flagella, and so that they can move from one place to another in search of food. The nutrition is holozoic in this. Amoeboid protozoans and asexual reproduction occurs by the process of binary fission and multiple fission. Now what happens in flagellated protozoans? The members of this group are either free-living or parasitic. The examples are Leishmania, Trypanosoma. These are some very much dangerous disease-causing protozoans. The Trypanosoma causes sleeping sickness. They have because they are having flagella, that's why they are called as the flagellated protozoans. So they may be aquatic, free-living, parasitic, or symbiotic. Symbiotic means dependent on one another for their survival. The body is enclosed by firm pellicle. Nutrition is holozoic, saprobic, as well as parasitic. Asexual reproduction is by the process of binary fission. Sexual reproduction is observed in some forms only, not in all forms sexual reproduction is found. And then comes the ciliated protozoans. These are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of the presence of thousands of cilia. They are called ciliary because of the presence of cilia, and when cilia are present, they are many in number. Many ciliates live as free-living individuals in fresh and marine water. They are also found in both types of water. A large number of cilia present on the whole body surface, and the cilia are mainly for the process of capturing food and for the process of locomotion. The nutrition in these are holozoic except in some parasitic forms. The body is covered with flexible pellicle. Ciliates have a large macronucleus and a small micronucleus. So two types of nucleus are present. Macro means larger size. Nucleus are also present. You can see in the diagram also. This is the macronucleus and this is the micronucleus. The osmoregulation occurs by the process of contractile vacuole. So the contractile vacuole is present in them for the process of osmoregulation. Then the last protozoan are the sporozoans. This group includes organisms that have an infection spore-like stage. The general features of this are all sporozoans are endoparasites and pathogenic. So endoparasites are those which comes inside the body of its host on which it is dependent and feeds upon it. And parasite that is completely dependent on the host for its survival. So the locomotory organs are completely absent in case of sporozoans. The nutrition is parasitic, mainly absorptive type. They feed upon the body and absorb nutrition from it. Body is covered with an elastic pellicle or cuticle, and contractile vacuoles are completely absent. A sexual reproduction occurs through multiple fission. The life cycle may include two different hosts. So the plasmodium is dependent on two different hosts for its survival. So in the next class, we will start with the kingdom fungi. Thank you.